let's come into the studio now and bring in our guest. It's 37 after 7 a.m. here on the AM show. Well, joining us, we have Kwesi Botchway Jnr. He's a lawyer and a member of the communications team of the NPP. Kwesi, good morning to you.
Good morning, Kojo.
Hope all is well.
By the grace of God.
Okay. Well, okay. We also have in the studio with us, and I hope that these young men are well poised to go through with us today. Let me try and introduce them so we can begin going on. Okay. Chief, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. Yourself?
I'm well.
Yeah. I'm still glad in Fugo Friday.
Oh, I mean, you know, some time ago we decided to do, you know, African wear on Fridays.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so as for my,
so Fridays is,
yes.
dedicated for Africa.
Yes,
that's nice, yeah.
And as for me, I think I even do entirely throughout the week African wear.
Wow.
Yeah, I've moved from the suit now. Lawyer he has to be wearing suit because he has to go to court. And I don't go to court, so I wear my good. We also have Anthony Julius, who's a government spokesperson. Julius, good morning.
Good morning.
Trust you good?
Pleasure to be here.
Good. And Sherif Ghali, CEO of the Chamber for Young Entrepreneurs Forum. Sherif, everything good?
Yeah, good.
Okay, all right. Now, let's begin from our discussion today. You know, the president will be presenting the State of the Nation. We're expecting that, okay, later this morning, let me say so. So I'll start with you, my friend from the government side. For young people, what should be the expectation in the State of the Nation address?
Thank you very much. President Mahama announced boldly in his last State of the Nation address that he is faced with an economy that is in clear distress, an economy that was in need of urgent rescue. And he made bold declarations in that State of the Nation address that he was going to fix that economy and set Ghana back on a path of growth and progress. We are expecting that the president would be accounting to the young people of this country what he has done so far in that period to reconsolidate this economy and set it back on a path of growth. The president will be touting his achievement in the real GDP growth rate of this country, presently at 6.1% in the first 3 quarters of 2025. The president will be touting his unprecedented record when it comes to dealing with the inflation problem that was destroying this country. Remember, in the middle of 2022, Ghanaians were reeling under the pain of high cost of living. The president will be touting that record. Inflation at some points rose all the way to 54%. The New Patriotic Party government left it at 28% before leaving government. Our government set a target of 11.5% at the end of 2025, but we achieved 3.8%. A record, unprecedented, never happened with that speed. The president is going to tout his unprecedented achievement in dealing with the exchange rate problem that has bedeviled this country. Remember, at some points, the CD was trading to the dollar at 17 Ghana cedis. The New Patriotic Party government left it at 14.7 Ghana cedis to the dollar. Today, the CD is trading at 10.5, 10.6 in those ranges. The president will be touting that unprecedented record. It's the first time in the history of the Fourth Republic that the CD had gained 40% plus against the United States dollar. The president will be touting that record in his State of the Nation address. The president will be touting the sharp decline in interest rates. Remember, interest rates rose to the tune of 27.7% under the New Patriotic Party. That's where they left it. Today, interest rates is 6.4%. What that implies for business, especially young people, when we are talking about jobs.
Interest rates?
Yes. Interest
borrowing?
Yes, interest rates.
Is how much?
6.4%. The treasury bill rates. I'm talking about treasury bill rates. What it implies.
Because as for interest rates today.
It's somewhere around 15% now. Yeah, so that's
interest rate.
Yes, interest.
It goes beyond it. But let's go.
So what that implies, especially for businesses, is the fact that during the New Patriotic Party government, the government was competing businesses when it comes to lending. So banks would prefer to give their money to buy government papers and make profits on it rather than lending those monies to small businesses. What it implies for businesses today is that businesses will have access to the loans, and it would have a ripple effect on employment for young people. That is very significant. It's not a matter of just the figures. It is a matter of the implication it has for job creation and all those other issues. President Mahama would also be touting his unprecedented record in paying on timely basis and in adequate amounts statutory expenditure. You remember under the New Patriotic Party, the infamous capping and realignment policy, where Get Fund revenues were capped and realigned, where NHIL revenues were capped and realigned. District Assembly's Common Fund was capped and realigned. As we speak today, all those statutory revenues are being paid and on time. In fact, it is important to note that the president will be touting his achievement when it comes to even the New Patriotic Party's so-called headline policy, the free SHS. You remember we were told that the election of President John Dramani Mahama will spell doom for that policy. Today, the policy is being implemented. In fact, the flaws that characterize that policy, including the empty bowls. I remember your documentary, Joy News. Empty bowls. Today, you will not be able to do any such documentary because the children have the food on the table. The president will also be touting his achievements in tertiary education sector. Today, young people are guaranteed that when they enter first year, government will be absorbing the cost of their education. Hundreds of thousands of young people are benefiting from that. The president will be touting that record. And it is important also to underscore that unemployment rates, both generally and youth unemployment, have also fallen marginally after the first year of President John Dramani Mahama. The president will be touting those records when he addresses the nation.
All right, let me bring in Sherif Ghali. Sherif, I mean, for young entrepreneurs like yourself, you are the real deal. You create the jobs that are needed. So what would you say is the true state of the Ghanaian youth today?
All right, so thank you very much and good morning to all your viewers. Talking about the true state of Ghanaian youth, especially those into enterprise development, it's still the old story. Even though we have received a bit of improvement in policy-wise, but it's still not so different from what we have seen over the years. When we talk about entrepreneurship support or youth doing business, we are looking at how we can support young people to deliberately scale their businesses. And the story has always been the same, even though the NDC government has introduced programs that are a bit more supportive, and we are looking to hear the update of such programs, especially Adwumawura. We want to hear and to see how many young people were supported, where their businesses are, and where they entered and where they are now. We want to understand where they are. And then another program that, for me, as a leader, was very important is a national apprenticeship program that was implemented by the National Youth Authority. We want to see honest update on the numbers that have been captured, impactful figures that we can be able to trace and say that this number of young people have gone through the mill, they have benefited, and they've grown to this level. You see, over the years, State of the Nation address have been characterized with the drama and all of the theatre. And this time around, the president have shown that he is more focused on youth development, especially youth entrepreneurship, given the huge investment put into Adwumawura and national apprenticeship. Our hope is that he's not just going to tell us what his boys are telling him, that this is the numbers we are trained, but I think investigated numbers, that this is the actual numbers we have trained, and these are the funding we have given to young people. And largely, the youth also, especially those doing business, are looking up to update on policies that were supposed to really help them do businesses. I always say anywhere that we need to move away from training and programming that are temporal. But that is what government upon governments are doing. Adwumawura, what is the exit plan? Apart from funding, training and funding the young people, what should be the exit plan? We should be able to coordinate our economic in a structure in a way that when a young person passes through Adwumawura, they are able to go through venture capital or be able to be bankable, that commercial banks can also invest in them. So government will need to be deliberate in forming partnership with public-private entities so that youth support can be more leverage, it can be more out there instead of just numbers. We have done 1 million when you can't even trace the 1 million. But I believe in the president, and I know that he's not just going to give us figures today, but speak to fact that you as a journalist can call the CEO of NEIP, Eric J, and ask him, can I get data of these young people that have been trained and that have been funded? That is the only time we can tell Ghanaians that we are really delivering. You can call Osman Ayarga at NYA and asking of data of program about national apprenticeship. But largely, one thing that has been very, very integral, and I heard my brother talking about youth employment, which for me, I don't want to play the political thing, but it's even though there have been a lot of gains in our marginal economy, but youth unemployment is still very high. And reports, World Bank has shown that it has even increased, but I don't know where we get the information to say that youth unemployment is getting better or youth employment is getting better. We need to really work on that. And the last time I wrote a letter to the president asking that in all the gains that he's been able to achieve within 1 year, which is amazing. And the youth in Ghana, I also speak on their behalf because I'm the president of the Ghana Youth Federation. We are so much happy about the gains we have gotten in the microeconomy. But the fact is that it's not transcendent. It's not showing in getting the young people to be economically engaged. How then do we understand the benefit of all of this? If you are talking about your CD appreciating, if you are talking about inflation rate, if you are talking about monetary policy rate that have been reduced and all of these good things, how does it transcend into the lives of the young people? And somebody will famously say that people watch what is in their pocket before they can tell you what the economy looks like. They don't care about your GDP and your big English you speak on TV. They look at their pocket first. And this is what the young people are looking at. But there's hope. There's hope because one thing I would like to say, I haven't had the time to say it to the president, is that we are grateful for having a youth ministry, a standalone youth ministry. Remember, historically, we have always had youth combined with sports, education. Now we have a youth ministry, which for me is historical.
How has that benefited you, the CEO?
It has, because it has given the ministry that sole mandate to focus on youth development.
I get it, but for 1 year, how has it benefited you?
No, it has, because it has fine-tuned our work now, and it has directed funding to youth development. You would have seen a high rise in government funding for youth program through the ministry. That is one thing, because you have a whole ministry, you need to finance them to do their work. And one good thing the ministry has done is to bring every actor in the ecosystem together. Now there's a bit of cohesion, there's a bit of coordination, which those days there were a lot of fragmented initiatives on youth development. Now, because of the youth ministry, we work closely together. I don't reinvent the wheel. What other person is doing, I don't do it again. We bring the impact together, and that has been one of the things we've been looking for. So yes, that ministry alone have done a lot, but we are hoping to get more support. One of the things I would like to chip in before maybe we move on is that funding for youth programming has been the biggest challenge. You see, over the years, youth development and activities around youth has been lip service. This one comes and say we're going to get 1 million youth employed, but they can't even tell you how they're going to get the youth employed and engaged. That has been the biggest issue. Now, the question is that, can we move away from the numbers and be more deliberate? We can only be more deliberate when government dedicates serious funding for youth development. I don't know if you're aware, but the National Youth Authority and the Youth Employment Authority are supposed to, by law, have contribution from District Assembly Common Fund. For years, the former government time, it was taken out, and I thought that when NDC come to power, they will bring it back. It's still the same thing. So how do you want the youth ecosystem to really develop when it's like lip service promises not fulfilled? They are supposed to have contribution from District Assembly Common Fund to implement youth program. So how do I even hold Malik Basentale on why he's not being able to create a job? How do I hold Osman Ayarga on why he's not being able to implement youth program? Because there is limited funding. And these are the things that we'll be looking at. And I'm hoping that the president this time around in his SONA will say that we are going to advise Parliament when it comes to the DACF distribution formula this time. We are going to bring back the youth quota, both YEA and NY. NY is supposed to have 5%, YEA is supposed to have about 12% from that fund. And over the years, it has been depleted to the extent that one of the agencies can get 0.06% a whole year. So how do they even work? So these are the things we are talking about, figures, real impact we want to see. The president, being honest as he is, come out and see some of the things and get the agencies to really work. And if Parliament is watching, definitely they are. These are the times you need to, this is the time we need to start being serious about the youth. you have over 73% of your population being young people. And at the end of the day, we only do lip service. We want to mention numbers. So whether it is MPP or NDC, we have to be deliberate with youth development. And our expectation is simple. We want to hear about the jobs that have been created. We want to hear about what government have done to ease cost of living. We want to hear about what government has done on skills education, which is paramount, and then on entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me bring in Kwesi Botchway now. Kwesi, so you hear Sherif talk about the number of youth-targeted initiatives under this government. Yet when you look at the statistics as we were placing on the screen now, youth unemployment is still around 13% in Ghana. When it went down a bit to 12.6% in quarter 2 of 2025. But if you look at the graph on your screen, quarter 3 of 2025, it jumped from 2.6 to 13%. So why the disconnect between, yes, we have a lot of youth initiatives, but still unemployment among the youth is high?
You see, Kojo, it is clear that all the youth initiatives are only visible in the books. Okay, if you go to the grounds, my dear brother mentioned about the Adwumawura program. NEIP has not been able to support even a single entrepreneur. All they've done in 2025 is to train them. Not even a single person has been supported.
Okay,
hold
it from here, I'll let you go. Is that true? That they haven't been able to support anyone?
If you say support, it has to be subjective. You are talking about the funding.
Okay.
And the moment they are now doing nationwide pitch to give the funding. Okay. But training in this service is support for business. Okay. So yes, there was a support.
Yeah, I acknowledge that there's training, yes. But there hasn't been the funding support.
Yeah, the funding, but that is happening as I know about now. They are doing a nationwide pitch starting from next week. Okay. So he's right to say if it's the funding support, it has not been given. But for the capacity, they have had that training last year.
All right.
Kojo, the Adwumawura program basically has to do with funding young businessmen. If you look at their manifesto about the Adwumawura program, let me read for you. This is page 19 of the NDC manifesto, just for clarity. It says the Adwumawura program, a special business startup policy aimed at facilitating creation, tracking and mentoring a minimum of 100,000 businesses annually with a special focus on young people.
How did that become so
I was quiet when you were speaking, my dear brother.
Notice when
if you look at the details of the Adwumawura program as they have provided for in page 1, 2, 3 of their manifesto under youth development, it clearly captures that the focus of Adwumawura is to train and fund the businesses of 10,000 young entrepreneurs every year. Emphasis on every year. The year 2025, not even a single young entrepreneur has been funded. And so, you see, Kojo, personally, it is difficult for me to trust this president, personally, because most of the things he promised, most of the things in the NDC 2024 manifesto regarding youth development has not been able to be materialized. Kojo, my expectation for this 2026 SONA is that first and foremost, I'm expecting President Mahama to apologize to the young people of this country. Secondly, I'm expecting him to...
Why do you want him to apologize? For what?
For unlawfully terminating the appointment of over 40,000 young people. In the case of the Ghana Maritime Authority, the young people whose appointments were illegally terminated by the Ghana Maritime Authority, the court categorically held that the termination of their appointment were illegal. The termination of their appointment were against the provisions of our labor laws. And so I'm expecting President Mahama to apologize to the young people of this country, because as a president who is concerned about the development or about employing young people, I do not think that you come into office and one of the first major decisions you take as a government is to terminate the appointment of young people. At least give the young people the opportunity to at least explain, give them the opportunity to be heard. Because most of the young people, I mean, on record and as part of the details of the Maritime Authority case, we know that they were not even given the opportunity to be heard. Their appointments were just terminated without any opportunity for being heard. And again, I expect President Mahama to pay the young nurses who have worked for over 11 to 12 months without salary I expect him to make allocations for them to be paid. Again, I expect President Mahama to reduce the cost of living. It is true that the macro indicators of this government is pointing well. It is true that dollar is about 11 to 12 cedis. It is true that inflation is single digit. It is true. And it is also true that hostel fees at University of Ghana has been increased. It is also true that rent have been increased. It is also true that cost of living is skyrocketing. It is also true that electricity has been increased by over 28%. It is also true that water bills have been increased by close to 15%. And so, in as much as it is true that the macroeconomic indicators of this government is pointing to the right direction, it is true that businesses of young people are struggling. Because young people who used to buy electricity prepaid credit for 1,000 cedis for, let's say, a week, now buy 1,000 cedis for 2 to 3 days. Businesses of young people are struggling. And so I expect the president to address that and to do something about it. Again, I expect the president, with the greatest of respect, to reverse the decision to reduce cocoa prices to encourage young farmers. Because if you look at their manifesto is generally anchored on encouraging young people to go into agriculture, to go into farming. And so if you treat young farmers this way, how do you encourage them to go into farming? And so I'm pleading with the president to reverse the price of cocoa, the amount of money that goes into the farmer, the pocket of the ordinary cocoa farmer. Again, now I come back to their manifesto. If you look at page 19 again, they promised, and Kojo, I want to tackle this issue with regards to what they promised in their manifesto. They promised the 24-hour economy, that they were going to implement a 133 job shift. And so ordinarily, jobs that a single person could do, when they come to power, 3 people are going to do that very job. Today, we are being told that the 24-Hour Economy Act that has been assented to by the president about a few weeks ago has nothing like 133. Has nothing like 133. And so this is clear deception. The president has deceived the young people who had high hopes and aspirations that they were going to vote for President Mahama to implement a 133 job policy. The president has deceived them. Again, the president promised to train 1 million coders under the 1 million coders program. Today, as we speak, we are being told that they are piloting the program by training 250,000 young coders every year. Even with that, in 2025, they were not able to successfully train them. In any case,
250,000 people, they weren't. You are sure?
They weren't. Well, I'm telling you on record, the Ministry of Communication couldn't train the 250,000 people. And so we are still expecting that the 1 million coders will be trained. Because if we have 1 million coders and it's creating 1 million jobs, it's good news for the young people. But, Kojo, I have always said that I do not expect President Mahama to fail. The MPP would not gain anything from President Mahama failing. Young people in the MPP, young people in this country will not gain anything from President Mahama failing. However, it is important that President Mahama sticks to the promises that he gave to the young people, the numerous promises he gave to the young people. But so far, it is clear, the scorecard is clear that President Mahama hasn't lived to expectation. Like my brother mentioned, the National Apprenticeship Program, we are yet to see the young people who are being supported with money. Kojo Brace, the young people in this country.
Apprenticeship, is it about money or is it
yes,
about
it's about money.
It's
about training, funding, and giving them the equipment to work. If you train the people and they do not have the logistics to work, how do they work? Kojo, you get my point. And I sincerely think that the young people in this country, what they need is funding to support their businesses. The trainees are becoming too many. What they need is funding. My dear brother here will attest to the fact that what he needs to push his business is funding.
He also says training is vital.
He's had enough trainings. My brother, the young people have had enough trainings. What they need is funding. They need the capital. They need the resources. They need the equipment and the logistics to push their businesses. And this is what President Mahama promised them with the National Apprenticeship Program. It's been launched over a year. We are not really seeing the fruit of it. Again, they promised an agriculture for jobs. We are yet to see the agriculture for jobs. We are yet to see it. We are yet to feel it. The young people in this country are yet to see how agriculture is impacting their lives, and how even this government is encouraging young people to venture into agriculture.
When I read the 24-hour policy document, it was captured in there. So when it becomes law, probably that...
I am speaking with regards to the year of President Mahama and my expectation for 2026. So my expectation is that young people must be encouraged to go into farming, but you don't encourage young people to go into farming by cutting the price of cocoa farmers, like I have already indicated. You don't do that. When you do that, you rather demoralize young people from going into farming, because if I'm a young person and the previous government was paying my grandfather, my father, 3,100 cedis for a bag of cocoa, and today, due to certain reasons, the government who promised to pay my grandfather, my father, 6,000 Ghana cedis, 7,000 Ghana cedis, is today saying that I am even unable to pay the 3,100 Ghana cedis that the previous government was paying you, and that I'm going to reduce the money that goes directly into your pocket by about 28%. This is unfair. How do you convince me that this is a model to encourage young people to go into cocoa farming? This can never be a form of encouragement. And so it is my expectation that President Mahama pays more attention to the reality of the grounds. I do not want to believe that our dear Mr. President is not in touch with the reality. I do not want to believe that the young people around Mr. President are failing to tell Mr. President the truth. The youth of this country are suffering. The youth of this country are in difficulties. Cost of living is skyrocketing. The youth of this country are begging for jobs. I have always maintained that the youth of this country, we are not lazy. What we need opportunities. We don't need promises. We don't need excuses. We don't need lip services. What we need is opportunity. The government should create opportunities for the young people.
Okay, I'm grateful. Thank you very much. Yes.
Yeah. You see, in government, when the New Patriotic Party were in government, they made it clear to Ghanaians that they did not understand the 24-hour economy policy. In fact, if you would check your records, you will see several statements to that effect. And what I see this morning is a clear, continuation of the same tangent, either deliberate misunderstanding or actual misunderstanding of what the policy initiative is about. And in any case, Kwesi read, I think, page 9 of the policy, which is the policy brief, and proceeded to make statements on it. And he has the entire document actually with him. And if you would, page 19, that's fine. And if you would indulge me.
I think this is your manifesto, right?
Yes, it's our manifesto. It's our manifesto. In the same manifesto, we spoke in detail. The policies, there's a policy brief and the detailed breakdown of the policy. And if you read that, we looked at the various sectors that the 24-hour economy policy is supposed to be implemented, and the public sector ones. And we listed clearly the public sector ones here to say that when you go to page number, so from page 19, 20, 21, page 22, you would see that the implementation plan of the 24-hour economy policy is well over there. So the 24-hour economy policy is a deliberate policy intervention by the incoming NDC administration to stimulate economic growth by creating the enabling environment for businesses. Emphasis, enabling environment for business, because I'll be speaking to that. And public institutions to operate 24/7 in a 3-shift 8 hours each. Then when you move from that, we've listed public sectors that are targeted, key public sector institutions that are targeted for 24-hour operations. The ports and harbour, customs, passport office, and DVLA. The critical question I will pose today is that if we are to look at these public sector institutions, is there evidence of 24-hour operation in the public sector institutions? The ones which are directly, where government can say operate 24 hours, given the necessary resources. DVLA is operating 24 hours. The port is operating 24 hours. Customs is operating 24 hours. So on the public sector side, that has been achieved. On the private sector side, that is why from the onset we have been clear that the very idea they were giving Ghanaians that government is going to legislate and force everybody to operate 24 hours is not what we are proposing. We are saying that we are going to create the enabling environment that encourages 24-hour, services across the country. The public ones which government can do, we have done that. When it comes to the private sector, you need to create the enabling environment. What are the enabling environments that encourages businesses to expand their production? One of the key enabling environments is funding. Businesses fund their businesses partly from loans. Under your administration, the businesses have to compete with your government because you were borrowing to the tune that is, the businesses could not compete. Because treasury bill rate was around 27% under your administration. Which bank would give the money to businesses instead of banks? Under us, it's around 6%. And so banks are now willing to give money to businesses to operate. That is how you stimulate growth. And when you want to stimulate growth in a sector, you need infrastructure development. That is why under our big push, we are currently implementing a fast-paced transportation development in the country to expand road construction. Those are the things that will eventually lead to job creation. And this whole thing they go about people being asked to leave work and all of those things. I do not think that any young person would want to be at the receiving end of the sort of politics that the New Patriotic Party has over the years played, where they think that the only avenue to employ young people is to stack up people aligned to their political ideology at state institutions. You don't create jobs. There's nowhere in the world where you create jobs by piling up people at state institutions to do nothing at all, really. You don't create jobs that way. We saw it in how they implemented NAPCO. They packed hundreds of thousands of young people and asked them to go and join existing workforces, which themselves, if you are supposed to do a real-time analysis of the work that's going there, you cannot really quantify what some people are doing. Then they pack them there, all affiliated to political parties. We do not think that any young person should be weaponized for politics. And that is why we are saying that job creation must be along value chains. You create real values and let people get jobs. You don't pile up people at public sector institutions and create. I can give you numerous examples of what they did when they came into power. When they came into power, before the NDC left power, NCA, for example, had a staff strength of 98. They waited when they were about to leave. Then they packed people aligned to the MPP over there. You don't create jobs that way. When you do that, all you do is to increase government wage bill. And then we have to pay, and the rest of the public have to suffer inflation. You create jobs by creating real value. That is what the 24-hour economy is about. So if you come and you are saying that no institution is operating 24 hours, when the evidence does not bear you out, public institutions are operating 24 hours today. The private sector...
How many jobs? How many jobs has that created?
I mean, I am not able to quantify for you presently how many, what the staff increase at DVI. I don't have that figure to give you. But what is clear is that those institutions are operating 24 hours undisputed. The aspect of the public...
I get it, I'll let you go on. But yeah, the aspect, we accept that 24-hour economy is happening, as
yes,
you said,
in state institutions.
In those ones.
Yes.
But what
the
was
private sector has to do with what government does to stimulate the needed growth, which is happening when you look at...
No, but let me ask my question. Sure. What was the essence of the 24-hour economy?
The essence of the 24-hour economy is what I have already stated, that we want to increase domestic productivity with the overarching aim of achieving import substitution. Because if you look at multiple sectors, I have seen you done analysis on even the import of domestic poultry in this country. Several millions of dollars annually. You want to change that as a country by increasing domestic production. That is why you bring a policy like the one they quickly ridiculed, Akuko Nkiti, so that you increase your domestic production, you reduce your imports, and when you do that, there will be work even at the manufacturing. Because when you are producing internally, packaging creates jobs for somebody. Transportation creates jobs for somebody. So you increase domestic productivity and ensure that at the end of the day, you have multiple shifts running. Multiple shifts running is the policy outcome. The outcome of the policy, not the implementation. And so anyone who says that the implementation of the policy is by fiat, all of you go and operate 24 hours, does not understand policy implementation. You implement a policy by taking multiple steps. The outcome, the ultimate outcome, is the 3 shifts running. When it comes to the public sector...
Hold on. Isn't it the other way around?
It is not the other way around. You can't...
For you to increase production...
Yes.
You increase your labor force, and that's why you wanted to create that enabling environment for people to work in the hours we don't work. So that can lead to increased production.
No, you are wrong. You are wrong. Employment is along value chains. For example, when you import poultry into this country, what you do essentially is to give the larger chunk of the job that is associated with poultry to the country that you import from. The one who rears the bird, the ones who kills them, the one who packages them, the one who ships them, all of that. You give all that job to a foreign country.
That's understandable. That's understandable.
Let me make the point. Let me make the point so you follow. You are saying that it's the other way around. I'm trying to correct that.
No, I'm saying that what you guys... Hold on.
No.
When you were campaigning...
Kwesi can lend his copy of the manifesto to you.
All we could hear was one job, 3 shifts,
yes,
3 people.
The policy outcome.
And if you read the manifesto, Kwesi can lend his copy to you. I said that the policy itself is to create the enabling environments for businesses to increase productivity. The outcome for an increased productive economy is maximum employment. That is the outcome. And I am telling you, per the example I was giving you, that if you take policies, for example, like Akuko Nkitinkiti, which was ridiculed by them, the jobs essentially are outside. Because if I go and I import the finished poultry, and just bring it to my cold store and I start selling, the larger chunk of the job is outside. So if you want to increase your domestic productivity, you make sure that the production happens here. And when you do that, you employ more of your labor force. It can't be the opposite.
Okay.
You can't take the labor force before you think of...
You say this is at GPHA, right? At DVLA, and at where again?
Passport.
Okay. You're doing 24-hour economy there. So what has happened? Realignment
of customs.
No. And the customs. Because all this conversation is about unemployment and job creation. Yes. So we have to analyze that. So you have GPHA, DVLA, passport, and customs. So what are you doing now in terms of the job force, the workforce?
So if you would allow me, you realize that 24-hour economy operation, there is civic sector. These government institutions are rendering services. And rendering services is a matter of timeliness in terms of the delivery. And so you want to reduce the workload that is on you. So you are able to quantify the amount of demand of your services and come to a conclusion that running a 24-hour shift would encourage you to produce more. In fact, Ghana Publishing is also running 24 hours. And because of that, they have increased the work they do in terms of output. Now, when it comes to the other sectors, the productive sector of the economy...
I wanted to educate before you. You will move on. Don't worry. You have the time to move on. Don't worry. Just stay with me. So you are saying that, yes, you want to reduce the burden on you.
You've not allowed me to...
Oh, no, you flow. Because we are talking about job creation.
Yes.
Good. And you are making an analysis. I want to help you. I want to be educated. So you are saying that you are doing all of that to reduce them. So is there no job that has been created?
If no job has been created, how would you see the marginal changes that we are seeing in the figures over the period? From the projection you have made.
I ask you one simple question.
Yes.
Your point was about creating employment. And then you educated me that the increased employment is a policy outcome.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm asking that you've implemented the 24-hour economy at GPHA, DVLA, passport, customs.
Yes.
Has there been jobs created?
Of course, obviously. When that happens, because when you increase the number of hours you're working, of course you have to increase your labor force. And the point I've been making over the period is that you don't just simply do that by saying that 3 more people come.
Okay.
You must demonstrate along what value chain you are employing the people. That is why I was telling you that in the service sector, we can clearly tell you that if you take Ghana Publishing, the workload over the period is there. What has been the problem in terms of their output is the delays. So to deal with the delay, you have every reason to add the number of staff. Okay. But the other sectors, like manufacturing, like agri, and all of those things, you don't just legislate it. You must make sure that you create the enabling environment that would encourage people to be able to produce more. So if you take the cocoa sector, for example, which he keeps talking about, what has been the challenge of cocoa sectors over the period? They are not fumigating the farms. In fact, there is verifiable record that said that we lost close to 40% of the cultivatable cocoa farms in this country. Meanwhile, within the period we were talking about, they were taking loans, millions of dollars for that same thing, which was not happening. They stopped supplying the fertilizers to the cocoa farmers, causing them to lose yield. In fact, we have the lowest yield during the MPP administration, 2022-2023 crop year. All those things have an implication for output in terms of your agricultural area. You want to expand that. That is why government is presently implementing a policy to rehabilitate the cocoa farms and encourage young people to go into that sector. That is why government is currently implementing a policy to ensure that there is domestic processing of our cocoa beans. You remember that when this whole brouhaha started, President Mahama announced a bold plan to ensure that by year 2030, Ghana is processing all of its cocoa beans. And in this year, especially, we are going to be processing over 400 metric tons of our cocoa domestically. When you do that and you diversify, you create value and you employ people. So the whole idea that the 24-hour economy is a function of government legislating, even in the public sector, people running 3 shifts, is a misconceived understanding of the policy from day one. And they have always said they don't understand. So I am not surprised that he doesn't.
But when it comes to the public institutions that we have listed in our manifesto, any suggestion that the 24-hour economy has not been implemented in those public sector institutions is completely false. Okay. And on the public sector, the only way people will come to that conclusion it has not been implemented is based on that misunderstanding that government can force private people to run to. No, you can't. You create the enabling environment for private companies to actually do that. So that's the issue on the 24-hour economy. Okay. I was addressing the issue about, what do you call it? You know, the emotional blackmail they put on about people being asked to leave their works earlier. I didn't complete that issue. How do you, after you have lost an election, in a year where inflation was high, debt was high, more than
for me.
Debt was so high. In fact, at a point, our debt to GDP ratio was around 104%. You are unable to service your debt. When it comes to public expenditure, your primary balance, you were doing negative, 3% at the time you were in power, which means that you were borrowing to fund expenditure. You are borrowing to fund expenditure, but primary balance takes out even your interest payments in the analysis. You are borrowing to fund expenditure at that time. Then you lose election because of these things. Then on your way out of power, you decide that you are packing your party people to overstaff government institutions, and that should be allowed.
Thank you.
I mean, you will not blackmail anybody with this conduct. We are not going to allow that blackmail. If we want our young people to work, we are implementing policies that are actually going to make them work. He made a very wrong point on there, on the issue of Adwumawura. Let me just
land on it.
On Adwumawura. Adwumawura is working. Who says that the idea of supporting young people in entrepreneurship is about just handing them money? You have tried that. You recruited several thousands of them, and you were paying them 700 cedis.
Thank you, I'm grateful.
Because
of time, we need to go to Parliament.
Let me just wrap up.
We need to go to Parliament, it's fine. Let me bring him in.
Let me just wrap up on that point so that we make a complete point at least.
Okay, so...
You have tested that. Several hundred of thousands of them, giving them 700 cedis every month. Where are they? Where's the entrepreneurship we got from that? It is because you did not take time to deliberately train the people and make sure that the funding you are even giving them was sustainable. That is why it didn't work. We want it to be very sustainable. That is why Erica J is championing that process, training the young people. There are 10,000 of them currently undergoing training. When the training is complete, that 10,000 of them will be supported with the funding. And remember, those 10,000 are those who were recruited in 2025.
Thank you, I'm
so the whole idea that people will not be supported in 2025 is not correct. They will be given the money.
Our time is up. Our time is up.
Our time cannot be up. He's made a lot of inaccurate statements. Could you, on the point of the 24-hour economy, you see, he asked them a simple question. How many jobs have they created with the 24-hour economy? It's 0 jobs.
What do you mean by that?
Kojo Brace, is this the first time Customs is operating 24 hours? Customs has always operated 24 hours. GPHA has always operated. It is not President Mahama that has made Customs operate 24 hours. Customs has always, when you get to our various borders, at any time of the day, you see Customs officers over there. So it is not true that Customs is operating 24 hours because of the 24-hour economy initiative. Again, he also makes a very deceptive point that the 24-hour economy is targeted at certain institutions like DVLA, Passport, and Customs. It is also not true. Now, let me read. This is their manifesto.
Page 22 of the manifesto.
Let me read. This is the same manifesto. This is page 23. The implementation approach of the 24-hour economy. And with your permission, I'll read briefly. Paragraph 1. The 24-hour economy will be implemented within the context of other national development initiatives, such as education and training, health services, agriculture, the provision of affordable houses for workers, efficient public transport, and effective justice delivery, among others. Paragraph 2, this is the most important part. It will be homegrown to fit our unique cultural, economic, and social situation. This will be both public and private sector driven, with government policies designed to stimulate round-the-clock business operations. Now, Kojo Brace, listen to this. So, policy coordination will be integrated across ministries. Across what? Ministries, departments, and agencies, into bracket MDAs, to ensure efficiency. And so if you come and sit here today to say that the 24-hour economy is only targeted at Passport and DVL, you are being mischievous.
No,
and you are lying. No, that is what you said. I was quiet when you were speaking. I was quiet when you were speaking.
Public sector.
No, Julius, let's respect ourselves. I was quiet when you were speaking. No, I was quiet when you were speaking.
My brother.
You said a lot of things that I disagree with you, but I was quiet when you were speaking.
That's fine.
Hold on, gentlemen. Julius, hold on.
Please,
that's fine.
But Kwesi, in the document, are there institutions that have been listed there?
Yes. Oh, in the brief, this is what they said. Key sectors of the 24-hour economic policy. He said the 24. This is what he read. He left out an integral part of it. He said the 24-hour economy will focus on selected public institutions with large customer base, such as port and harbors, customs, passport office, DVLA, ETC. What's the meaning of the ETC?
Okay. So if
the drafters of this manifesto or President Mahama intended to end it at DVLA, he would have put.
But are you allowing this?
ETC. And in the number allow me to speak.
A number of
hold on,
and then you come and say ETC.
Julius,
are you allowing this?
Julius, please allow him.
And in the implementation.
Don't do that. Allow him.
Speaking, I was very quiet. I will not entertain this kind of discussion.
That's fine. That's fine.
Julius, please allow him. I don't entertain that on the show.
Yes. Nobody.
Allow him.
We are quiet.
Have your time. Sherif should also come in. So please.
You are clutching the straws. Honestly.
Allow him. The viewers will make their own.
Sure.
Allow him.
Etc. We are debating etc.
So in the implementation approach, I am speaking to the implementation approach of this manifesto. The implementation approach is clear. That is going to be a coordinated. Let me quote what they said. That is going to be a coordination integrated across ministries. When you say a coordination integrated across ministries, what do you mean? Meaning the ministries are going to be a part and parcel of the 24-hour economy initiative, according to your manifesto. The department and agencies and other governmental agencies to ensure efficiency. And so my point is that, and my basic understanding with regards to the literal interpretation of what is in their manifesto is that there's going to be a coordination between the 24-hour economy secretariat or authority and the ministries and departments to ensure efficiency and to ensure the 133 initiative. The simple question we are asking you is that, how many jobs have you created with your 24-hour economy? It is zero. Even the 24-hour economy secretariat or authority itself is not even operating 24 hours.
But will you believe? Will you believe it
zero
is
jobs with the 24-hour economy?
Will you believe it is zero? When we are being told that they are running 24, because if the staff that were there were operating 5 to 8, and today they are doing another shift, I feel you need some people.
My dear brother, it is on record. It is on record. Contrary to what anybody will say, it is on record. I have made my checks. If you go to Ghana Publishing by 10 p.m., their offices are closed. You can let your reporters go there. If it is the in-house production that works 24 hours, that is a different matter. But if you go to the Ghana Publishing office open to the public at 10 p.m., at 9 p.m., at 8 p.m., their offices are closed. And so, as an ordinary citizen, I do not feel the impact of the 24-hour economy with regards to Ghana Publishing. If you single out Ghana Publishing saying that they work 24 hours. You see, my point is that Kojo Brace, jobs must be created.
Sure.
Young people must benefit from the jobs. Enough of the rhetorics, enough of the antiques, enough of the settings and the deliberate ways to deceive the young people. The young people need jobs. Today you sit here to say that the MPP packed young MPP people into the various institutions. Granted, without admitting that what you are saying is anything to go back. Are the young people not Ghanaians?
Okay.
Are they not Ghanaians?
Thank you.
And so as young people, do we have to discriminate against our colleagues who have been employed in various institutions due to political affiliation? We shouldn't do that. The fact that they are working and they are making a meaningful income, we should support that.
Okay. All right.
Thank you very much. Kojo, I'm sure you've observed how I've been very quiet.
Yes.
You can see what partisan politics is causing. Very intelligent youth leaders, and we can't find a common ground to ever agree on anything. Granted, all of them, MPP and DC, if they could solve our youth unemployment problem, they could have done it during Rawley's time. They could have done it through Kufuor time, Anana Akufo-Addo Atamis. But here they are still shouting on their truth, trying to, I don't know what to sing home what exactly. You see, one politician think that creating jobs is their mandate. It's wrong. Our biggest issue is economic structure. You have an economy that largely relies on gold, cocoa, and oil. These are capital intensive, but they are not absorbing or creating jobs. And you are here arguing what jobs you've created. Look at the figures you show. 2024, it went very high to 13.1. Because of temporality, temporal programming, NDC did well. It came to 12.8. But you see, because of temporal programming, what happens? It went back to what? 13. So this should tell you that it's not your duty, and it's not about you speaking English and mentioning words that will change anything. My brother said something, and let me just get all of them to all understand this. It is not, now the youth are becoming discerning, the minority youth who don't want to involve in this political theory. We know what we are doing, and we would show. We have shown MPP. NDC should also set up. All of these things they are doing wouldn't move us or change us. Let me come. He talks about Adwumawura not doing whatever it is. Granted, Adwumawura is to do training and funding. He is right to say that the training is too much, but it's still needed. Capacity is very important. I lead a lot of young entrepreneurs and young people. Capacity to even manage money is very important than just giving them money. So money is good, but then we need that. Now he talks about Adwumawura not being able to, and I find it hilarious.
I haven't said it's not good. I haven't said it's not good. No.
Well, you said it's not doing. No, I'm not arguing with you. I'm not a politician. No, I just want you to understand.
You are quoting me. Yes. You're saying
okay.
I said Adwumawura is not good.
But when you quote,
you said it's okay. Yes, his point is that it's not being implemented, which is right.
Yes.
Julius, don't be happy because he's right.
I have never said Adwumawura is not good.
Hold on, allow him.
He's right.
Someone comes in,
I'm only drawing his attention.
But I was also drawing your attention to something.
He's right.
I was also drawing your attention.
It has not been implemented. Funding was supposed to be given to the young people in 2025. That cohort is not. NDC, you should accept that. You are not doing that, right? Accept that. Let us be honest as young politicians. But you see, the reality is that I don't think that the MPP is qualified to call NDC and to bring them to. When we are in this country, USTART was announced twice in budget and was never implemented. I was part of it. USTART was announced twice by the former finance minister and was never implemented. It was the latter aspect of it. But then I always say that MPP did well with under John Kuma. We did training, we did funding, over 100 and something. Tout on those success, not what you haven't been able to do. And for NDC, I think that what we need to understand is that, like lawyer said, we are focusing on youth getting jobs. So we don't care about your English, Julius. We don't care about all the theatres. We don't care about all the stories. The most important thing is that create the jobs for the young people. And I want to say that the biggest problem we have is that we put on ourselves a mandate that we can't even. What we need to do is shift from temporal programming, youth employment programming, to what we call enterprise productivity strategy. How do we do this? By investing in SMEs. See, it is only when SMEs scale. Scaling needs skills, and you were trying to bring Jilo's mind to it. Because when businesses scale, they will need labor to scale. They will need the skill to scale. But if businesses are not scaling, how then do they create employment? And you and I, all of them know that in our economy, 75% of the jobs are created by the informal sector and SMEs. Yeah. But how many of your government are focused on supporting SMEs? How many of them?
There are multiple ways of supporting SMEs,
including
ensuring that they are able to access capital.
Can I land?
It's
yes.
very important. It's very important. It is very important. There are several ways to
He's right.
Including ensuring that they have access to capital.
Yes.
Which we have done in terms of our approach to the macroeconomy.
You are right.
Yes, it's very important that you are able to point that out.
Oh, you are right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are very
Your party have done well. The government have done well with monetary policy.
Exactly that, which you feel.
You see, it is one thing about announcing policy reduction and making it a reality. We are not here to talk about those things. I'm a technical
interest rate.
Yes.
We have increased
he mentioned, I said it, yes.
30%.
Let me come. He mentioned it here that it's about 15%. Businesses are still borrowing from 22% upward.
Yes.
This is where your government will have to force banks. We have reduced monetary policy. I'm coming. Yes. Reference rate that they are supposed to benchmark their banking. Banks are not doing it. It's not your fault. It's not your government fault.
So government has done its job.
So allow us to tell you the reality. Yes.
Government has done its job.
Government is a regulator.
Government so what are you talking about?
Government has done its job.
Allow Sherif. Allow Sherif.
Let me end.
We need to go. Allow Sherif.
Let me end. So we need to focus on supporting SMEs to scale. And we need to move away from funding quantity, numbers. We want to fund 10,000 young people like my good people in MPP did. We mentioned figures, huge numbers.
Same with Adwumawura.
No, Adwumawura, at least for them, they are saying 2,000.
No, they are not saying 2,000 for Adwumawura. In their budget, it's 100,000.
That's training, but funding.
It is here.
They didn't say they are funding all of them.
No one said they are funding.
They are training 10,000, but funding 2,000.
No one said they are funding all of them.
What is your proof that they are funding 2,000?
They are funding. Come on.
That is what you and I don't even have the proof. That's a policy document.
That we can work
no, that's a policy document.
No, so it's not something
it's
we can.
So
we should work with your public.
No, I'm coming.
In their manifesto,
what I know.
In their manifesto, they were not emphatic.
Okay.
In their manifesto, they were not emphatic.
So we should work with Kwesi's 100,000, not the public
and finance 2,000. But doesn't even make sense to train 100,000 young people and
no one is alive. We are training.
It makes more sense. No, it makes more sense. As a business
guys,
let me learn. Kojo, it makes more sense.
Okay.
Even if you ask me, I will say they should fund less than that. 500. It makes more sense. You see, that has been the bigger problem, lawyer. We train numbers. You have 1 million. You want to give it to 100,000 young people. How much would each one of them get? They can't even scale. And we are here arguing. So even the 2,000 to me, the NDC think they are doing something. It should even be lesser. So you are focused to scale youth businesses that can create jobs. When you do this, this is where you give 10,000 to a young person who cannot scale. No. They will spend it. And at the end of the day, there's no job created. So we have to be deliberate with scaling and supporting SMEs. Industrial cluster is something I talk about. Young people are innovative but have nowhere to go and sandbox their idea. Why won't we focus? Your government should focus on creating youth sandboxes where youth can go and scale their businesses. Free zones for young entrepreneurs. We are talking about value chain. I am happy your 24-hour economy is seeing the light of the day. Even though quite disappointed that it has to delay up to now.
It's not seen the light of day yet. It's not seen the light of day.
That's what they said, right?
No,
it's
not seen the light.
We haven't even seen
you on the ground.
We haven't even seen.
How many young businesses are operating 24 hours?
You are right. We haven't seen. We haven't seen. We haven't seen yet.
Let's be real and
no, that's the truth.
Zero.
That's why I say it's seeing the light because
okay, guys.
Kojo, they say it's seeing the light. They have passed a bill. They've passed a bill. So our hope is that 24-hour will not just be a policy document on paper, but we are going to implement it and get the youth some jobs that will be created.
The 24-hour economy is a scam. Let's put it that way. It is a scam.
It is not if they can implement it well.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Now.